Okay. All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, to Step Up Academy, Focus Forward, where we're continuing developing a good story. We're actually continuing that series. And so today, what we're going to be talking about is just some things that, first of all, we're going to get started with our homework that we did last week. And we're going to actually then talk about what we're going to do this week. And we're going to get better. Today is when we're really going to start putting together our story, or one story, because we all have probably about 20-25 stories inside of us. However, we want to start putting together a story so when we're doing presentations, we can pull that story out and make it applicable for the audience. Recently I saw that with Director Janice Parker. She does a story in her presentation, but when she came to our tea, the tea that I hosted, she did a different story. It was still the same story, but she just talked about it differently. She talked about the value of having a business. And I just thought that was really appropriate. And all of us need to be able to pull different stories. And so I'm excited. So we have Michelle and Nick Brown on the line this morning. And so Michelle, tell us, what did you find out with your homework? Who was your favorite, favorite orator, and why?
Okay, Ann, good morning. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Wow. Well, I just like to thank you. This is just some phenomenal training that you do for the team members, and it's just amazing. And I tell you, you are definitely doing what you can to help us grow. I found this homework and this whole homework and activity to be just very, very, very powerful. So in thinking about that, I couldn't come up with just one. So I had three, just like you. So the first person who came to mind was Eric Thomas. He is just a powerful, powerful motivational speaker.
Yes.
He is known as the hip hop preacher because not only is his platform and his direction and purpose are personally driven, but it's spiritually driven too. He feels like he has, the divine, purpose to walk into his purpose, right, and what he's doing. But his why was just so powerful, and it just shows you that when it's down to the wire, when you got to get it done, you will get it done, right? And his story is compelling when he's talking about his wife who has MS and the medication and the attention that she needed, the medical attention that she needed, and the treatment. And it was just a done deal. He just said, "Oh, whatever it takes, I'm going to do what I have to do to get this, to have the financial resources that we need for your life." And he talks about going into beast mode, and no one is going to outwork him, right? And it's just powerful when you look at your own activity in this business and some of the excuses that we make, and you really don't want it bad enough, right? So for me, he's just the ideal motivator, and he keeps it real too. He keeps it real. He keeps it raw. He's well educated. He's really Dr. Eric Thomas. So he has a compelling story, from being 16 or 17, I believe, when he was just out on his own, right, and not having a father in his life, and just a lot of good elements to his life. The second person is Reverend T.D. Jakes, right? He is amazing. He is astounding. He is just a powerful story as well, in terms of his purpose, his passion, his vision for himself, and some of the obstacles that he had. But he always knew he wanted to be a pastor. He talks about being, in the country, going in the woods and just giving a sermon to himself, right? And I think he even got some criticism for the list that he has, right?
Oh.
Listen to him. And he just talks about what he got over, and his passion, and how he just kept going. And then the spiritual nature that he has. He is a man of God, and he speaks the word, and it's very powerful for me. So, and as a motivational speaker. And then the third person is Elisa Nichols, right? She is a very powerful motivational speaker. And she has a compelling story as well, but as a Black female. And for all of them, you know, the common element is just getting it done, being at a point in your life where your why drives you, and then, you know, you walk into your purpose. So for her, she, you know, she was down and out, and she realized she was at a point with her son when he was young, an infant, and she was down to her last money. And, you know, she went to do a withdrawal, and she didn't even have enough money to get Pampers for her son. And she made a promise to him that they would never be that low again. And I can't remember if she had to wrap him in like towels or something, but it was just a very low point for her. And she just shows you what you will do to walk into your purpose and make your life better, because she was living, at some point she was living in like a single family home, and she moved out into an apartment with a roommate. She was walking, I think, and didn't have a car, but at some point she would mail herself money to the bank like every month or whatever. And that was her dream money, right? And I forgot what she addressed it to, what the account was called. But once she went into the bank to finally check on the account, you know, the tellers was just like, oh my God, is that the lady that would send her dream check or whatever? And she had no idea how much she had even put in there. And when she looked, she was like, oh my God, is this the right account? And, you know, she just sacrificed so much to fulfill her dream and her purpose. And she shares that with so many people. And she has a passion that is just unbelievable in terms of what you can do. So I listened to elements of all of those speakers, and I could see how you can apply it to what we're doing in our business and achieving our goals and walking our purpose and getting out of our own way and eliminating excuses. So each of them come from a different perspective, but the message is strong, and the motivation and inspiration is very powerful for me.
Wow, that's amazing. You're absolutely right. All of those are favorite speakers of mine, especially Lisa Nichols. And you can see how their story has developed their tribe. And today I'm going to talk about some things that they do that I want you to notice about them and their stories. Nick Brown, early this morning, I think I saw your video, but who was your favorite orator? Who's your favorite speaker? And why? You're on mute.
All right, sorry about that.
No problem.
My favorite speaker was President Barack Obama.
That's right.
To me, Barack Obama is a very polished, poised orator. Just his energy. I actually had the opportunity to meet him, and just his presence and his aura just commands a room. So, you know, when he speaks, you know, people on the edge of their seats, and they're, you know, and once he finishes, you're like, you know, you're left wanting more. So, you know, very powerful, very poised, you know, very strong in his message and his speech, but, you know, not overpowering and, you know, aggressive. And, you know, his particular style was one that brought people together, engaged them. And of course, you know, he brought the nation together. So that's who my speaker was. There was a couple other people, but they were sports figures. But President Barack Obama was the number one that I chose today.
All right. That's awesome, y'all. Well, I tell you what, today, one of the things I want you to write in your notes, one of the things that is very important in developing your story is to be authentic. And when you think about the people who are directors that we follow, when you think about anybody that you follow, one of the key elements of their story is being authentic. And Michelle, you just demonstrated that in terms of you could actually talk about the things that you relate to each one of your favorite speakers. And especially Lisa Nichols, you're absolutely right. When she tells that story of she didn't have Pampers for her baby, when Dr. Thomas tells that story about, you know, being out there in the streets and having to figure things out and leaving, you know, being out there at such a young age and making decisions. When you bring it close to home, like director Arlen Thompson, when she says, hey, I made some mistakes, and, you know, basically I spent my retirement, and now I have to take care of my granddaughters. And, you know, just being authentic. People, you know, you can just imagine how that feels when you talk of when director Janice Parker talks about, you know, her high when she had her car dealership. She was, you know, on top of the world, and then to lose it all and have to go home and live in her mama's basement. You know, you can just imagine that. And so when you think about President Obama being born in Africa, and now the president of the United States, and when you look at his story and see that he was driving around in this broken down, beat up car when he met Michelle. But, you know, together they served and they kept serving, and he got better and he did what he had to do to climb that ladder. You can really get behind him because you can see that he wasn't someone that was privileged. He was somebody who just had a passion and just worked. And so one of the key elements of our stories is being authentic. You know, I used to tell stories, but I never went deep. I never really, and what I find is that the deeper we go, the better the story and more impactful it is. So what you have to do is write this down. Align the person that you are when you're naked and you by yourself at night. When you are just totally yourself and you're not putting on any airs, you could care less, your hair's not done, maybe you didn't brush your teeth, you know, you didn't take a shower, it's just you, authentically you. Merging that person, who you are, with the person that you are around people. And that's when your stories will develop, and that's when you begin to attract your tribe. Because people will relate to who you are, not who you're trying to be, but who you are. Now, I'm not saying don't go around people all funky fresh and, you know, don't brush your teeth, don't take care of yourself, but just that feeling of who you are when it's just you, and making an effort to always be authentic. Now, I know a lot of people say, well, I'm not fake or anything like that. Yeah, but are we authentic? Because I know, and believe me, it's going to take a while. It is going to take a while to learn to be authentic because we've been conditioned to be be different, to do things differently. And that's why when you have that person who goes out and does their own things, we admire them. That's why when that person steps out and says something that maybe you are thinking, we admire them because they are just being authentic, 100% in terms of who they are. They're not following the status quo. They're just saying, you know what? I am not comfortable with this. And they are comfortable in their skin. Have you ever met anybody like that? It's powerful. It's powerful when someone is just comfortable in their skin. So what we have to do is take the layers off, and we've got to get to the place where there's nothing to prove, nothing to defend, nothing to hide, nothing to protect. Can you imagine that? Getting to a space where there's nothing to prove, nothing to defend, nothing to hide, and nothing to protect. To just accept yourself wholeheartedly, that you don't have to protect, you don't have to defend any of your actions. You can just, hey, it's just me and it's what and be comfortable with the fact that maybe you might have made some mistakes. We all do. Maybe you may have made a poor choice. We all do. But just getting to that space, we have to put some skin in the game. And we do have to practice being authentic because we've been conditioned to be who we've been so long, we have to practice being authentic. And when you can be authentic, when you can be your true self, it gives other people the authority to be their true selves. Do you get that? When people see you being authentic, it makes them more comfortable in being authentic. And I'm not talking about mean. I'm not talking about being mean or negative or nasty. I'm just talking about just knowing who you are and owning who you are. And you know, sometimes that's what they say Christianity is about. When you become a Christian, and you walk differently, you talk differently, when you learn what that's about, people begin to see the change in you. So when we all learn to become more authentic, people will see the change in how we show up. And so it's so important for us to be authentic. So I'm sorry, I haven't even, here we go. So today we get to create your story as well. The last homework assignment was you were supposed to write down things about yourself. That is going to help you if you were authentic, and it's just you. So there was no reason to hide. Or I want you to go back to that list. If there's some things that are fake on there, scratch them out, because this is just you. And the first person you want to be authentic to is to you. So it's your list. So if there's something in there, you're like, you know what, I'm not really like that. I just put that down because I thought it looked good, or I thought I'd have to read my list and I thought it sounded good. If you have anything like that, scratch it out, because that list of characteristics reflects you. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to create your story. So your stories, and everybody has about at least 25 stories. If you're our age and you're grown, you have at least 25 stories that you can pull from. You just didn't know. And because stories are really just moments in time. Just pivotal moments in time that maybe you tell the situation, or maybe it taught you a lesson, or maybe it was something that was very sad, or maybe whatever it is. A story are just really moments in time that are woven together and are impactful for you. And if they're impactful for you, they're probably going to be impactful for somebody else. I mean, think about Director Arlen Thompson. Can you imagine going through your life, being retired, having raised your children, and then all of a sudden finding out that now you got to raise your grandchildren, and you know that you've blown through your retirement, and now she's able to add to her story because now her husband has passed. So the help and the support that she had at home is gone. And she's still at the top of her craft, at the top of her game, at the top of this company. That's a powerful, powerful story. Who wouldn't follow her? Who wouldn't? When you think of Janice Parker, who was at the height of her career, then lost everything, and now is building it back up, and humbled herself to go back home and live with her mom. Who wouldn't follow her? Who wouldn't? And so, what's your story? Stories elevate every experience. Stories elevate the presentation. So see, facts tell, stories sell. And you've heard that. We've all have. Facts tell, stories sell. So we have to develop our stories. So stories are the bridge that connects us. It allows us to find common ground. And so when you tell your story to your audience, that's how you're going to develop your tribe, because the people who relate to your story are going to show up and be there over and over and over again. This whole pandemic is creating so many different stories of loss that people are going to have to overcome. Some loss in various areas, loss in finances, loss in their jobs, loss in their loved ones that people are going to have to overcome. This is going to be an awesome story, and you should chronicle your story. What's happening? There are going to be a lot of books written about this. There are people going to be rich because of this situation. What's your story? And also, see, presentations are necessary because they give people the facts and give people what they need to know. But the stories are the icing that makes it better. And so stories come from a moment of time. So what I want you to do is write down some moments of time in your life that have been important to you, and identify a show me story, something that shows how you've overcome something. Something that this is going to be something that maybe, and everybody has bad points. Everybody has made poor choices and decisions. But let's craft a show me story, something where you're showing others how you've overcome and giving them hope in overcoming as well. So what you want to write down is what happened, and then you want to come up you want to come up with your bullet points of the story. Just okay. For instance, in your story, let's say that here we go. One pivotal thing that happened in my life, one of the stories that I'm crafting, is that there was a point of time when, and just follow me in this. I woke up one morning and I got ready to go to work, and I went to, at that time I was in my senior year in college, and I had gone through a car accident and I was going through therapy, and I had this big scar on my face, but I had moved off campus, so I had an apartment, and my father said, if you do this, then you got to pay for it. It's on your own. I'm not helping you. And so after I had that car accident, he still didn't help me, or it was my pride. I didn't want to ask him to help me because I had made this choice. Me and my boyfriend, the guy that I thought would be my husband, had made the choice to move off campus and get an apartment. But I had a car accident, so I had this huge scar and this bandage, and I was going through therapy, and and he decided he didn't want to be with me anymore. So he left me in that apartment by myself. We had just purchased 2 new cars on my credit, and he decided he didn't want to pay the bill. And I went to work, and I had that bandage on, and a table, I was a waitress, and my company was allowing me to work. Even as I went through therapy, I had 2 black eyes. There was still glass in my forehead, and I looked a mess. But I told them, I said, I gotta work. I gotta pay my rent. I gotta live. And so I started, I started going in early, and they gave me an extra shift, and I started being maintenance and cleaning the bathrooms and that kind of stuff. And then I also was waiting tables. They had a shower. I would shower and change and wait tables as well, so that I could do what I needed to do. And this particular time, this day, I had the morning shift, and there was a brunch, and the people who I was waiting on, the party that I was waiting on, this one table was going to set me in terms of my rent. And the people I was waiting on complained that that my bandage, the way my wound was, that they didn't want me to serve them. And so they said, we don't have anything, this was your party, we don't have anything else, and they don't want you to serve them, so you can just go home. That, I was crushed. I had a bad week, a horrible week. So I got home and I decided that I didn't want to live anymore. I just said, you know what? I just can't take this. I'm always going to have this scar. I didn't realize that it would heal, even though my dermatologist was telling me it will heal. You just got to give it time. I was just like, I just don't know who's going to hire me with this scar in the middle of my forehead? Who is going to marry me? Who is going to want me? And you know, my ex-boyfriend had left and had found someone else, and I was sitting there and I decided that I didn't want to live. And I got in the tub and I got the razors, and I was going to I figured that if I got in the tub, that at least it would be clean. I filled up the bathtub with water, and I said, okay, well, at least I wouldn't make a mess. And so I was sitting there and the phone rings, and I'm like, well, who in the world could be calling me? But I'm so nosy. I let it go one time and then it rings again. And I was like, okay, but I'm so nosy. Let me at least have this last conversation. So I called and my mother says, hey, what you doing? What you doing home? And I said, well, you know, I told her what happened. And she said, oh my gosh. And she says, well, what you doing now? And I said, well, I'm just sitting here. And at that moment, I said, if I do this, my mother is going to be crushed. And I couldn't do it because I knew that it would hurt her. And so I didn't. And I went back. I finished school. After that, I said, okay, I'm not killing myself. So I gotta get to living. So I went back and I finished school and I paid for it myself. And I worked those 2 shifts. I worked a shift in the morning where I cleaned up the restaurant, and it wasn't too bad. And then I worked, but thank God I had a manager who believed in me. And he always looked out for me. He was like, no, he never let me go anywhere by myself. He started giving me rides because both my friend's truck and my car was in my name. And I couldn't meet the payments. So it got repossessed. So he started giving me rides, from school. And then my girlfriend, who was pregnant, she had a car, but I would bring the food. So she moved in, and so we finished school together. And that's our story. That will always be our story. She was like, man, if you got the gas, I got the car. If you got the bread, I got the peanut butter. If you got the chicken, I got the oil. And that's the way we operated. That's the way I got out of school. That's the way I graduated for undergrad. So when we walked across that stage, y'all, there had been a tornado. And our whole graduation that was supposed to be this beautiful graduation outside turned into this makeshift, something. But we walked across that stage, and our teachers and our friends who knew all the stuff that we were going through. I finished my therapy. I got I made enough money. I got a little car, and I just said, and this guy, I will never forget, this white guy told me, he was like, just keep this little car and you can redo your credit. He said, it's going to take about 7 years, but all of this is going to pass. This too will pass. And y'all, I'm standing here today because my mama called me. And because of that, she changed, I knew how much it would hurt her. It changed my entire life. That one phone call changed my entire life. So what does that mean? In our business, one phone call makes a difference. One phone call can change somebody's life, and you never know. God may have planted you in that place to be that one person's phone call. Because from that phone call, I made the decision to go back to school, to finish school, to be the best, to do various things, to be, and I was going to be okay in spite of my scar, in spite of everybody looking at me, in spite of, I'm still beautiful. I am going to get married. I am going to have the life that I deserve. And that situation makes me a whole lot more compassionate and makes me more giving and makes me more understanding when people have fears, when people are ashamed, or when people are going through various things, because I've been there and I had to overcome that myself to get to where I am. And I'm not where I want to be, but I'm not where I was. And it was the result of one moment in time, one phone call, when my mother asked me, "What are you doing?" And I could not bring myself to tell her. You could be that phone call. It's your time to change somebody's life. Are you going to do it? Are you going to step up in this business right now? People are going through stuff with this pandemic. There's somebody somewhere, they may think that they don't have an option. They're wondering what in the world, how are they going to pay their bills, and looking for something. And do you realize that getting someone started for $20 could be the lifeline that they need to be able to make money, to do what they need to do? You could be that phone call. So you get to create your story. From this week, what I want you to do, your homework is, I want you to look in the mirror and say your name. I am proud that you, and I want you to actually do 3 sentences and do 7 endings with each sentence. You're going to say your name, like I would say, Ann, I'm proud that you finished school. I'm proud that you're going to give 7 things that you're proud of yourself for. And you're going to say that to yourself in the mirror every day. Then you're going to say your name, I forgive you for. And you're going to do 7 things that you forgive yourself for. And you don't share this with anyone. This is just you in the mirror every single day saying, Ann, I'm proud that you, and list those 7 things. Then, Ann, I forgive you for, list those 7 things. And Ann, I commit to you that, and what you're committed to. Because it's just you. It doesn't have to be pretty. It's just you, what you're committing to you. So that's your homework, to sit in the mirror and actually share that with yourself for 7 days. So each sentence should have 7 things that you're proud of, that you forgive yourself for, that you commit to. And you want to say it to yourself in the mirror for 7 days. And to really say it twice, in the morning and at night, for the next 7 days. And see how you feel, and see if you feel empowered. Then I want you to create your story. You know, that story I just told you is one of the many stories that I have. And as you can see, it's very, very near and dear to my heart. And I don't tell a lot of people that story. And I tell that story sometimes in coaching, my coaching clients, because I want them to be inspired. And I want them to know that, hey, you know what? Sometimes I've been where you are. I've been through things too. It's not like, I've always been in this situation. And so sometimes hearing that inspires others. So create your story. It doesn't have to be a story. You may not have ever thought about killing yourself, but there should be something that you were triumphant. It's something where you won. Create a story where maybe you were feeling low and get to the high. That's what I want you to do. Create those bullet points. Say, hey, and then as you get those bullet points, then weave the things together. Maybe you made a decision. It was a bad choice. Maybe you a person who had to deal with a teenage pregnancy. That's another story that I'm developing. maybe you had to deal with a teenage pregnancy. Maybe you're a mother and you lost your children. Maybe you got fired from a job, and it was a job that you really wanted, and it just inspired you to turn around and do what you need to do. Maybe you had poor credit, and somebody told you, no, you can't get your car, no, you can't get your house. So you had to do what you had to do to repair your credit to build the life that you wanted. What is your story? And so today, this week, I'd like you to create your story. And like I said, it's not going to be perfect. Don't even worry about it. Just put the bullet points of your story, what happened, and create your story and inspire, and create it in such a way that it inspires someone, and make it an inspiring story, that it lifts somebody. Your story will lift somebody out of their situation. And so call me if you need some help. We are out of time. I'm sorry, I went over time. We started a little late, but I went over time as well. But I did want to to share this lesson today. Hopefully you got some information. I'm going to open the lines up and hear from you guys. Does everybody understand the homework? Did everybody, how you feeling? Are you okay? Are you excited? How you feeling? How was this lesson today?
And this is Michelle. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, superstar.
Wow. That's all I can say is wow. I mean, thank you so much for sharing that, for you yourself being authentic and just being raw and real. That was just so impactful and just amazing what you experienced, what you were feeling, and what you overcame, and wow. And it just really makes you do soul searching and knowing that everyone is just human, and everything that we go through, you have to go through something, right? Because that makes you stronger, make you a stronger person, and helps you get to the next level, whatever that is that you need to do. And that was just a moment in your life that you had to get through, or that you did get through amazingly so, and help you, and you graduated, and that put you in position to go on to bigger and bigger and better things. And that was just really, really amazing. So that just really attests to the fact that we all have a story.
Everybody.
We all have experienced something that we've overcome that's made us stronger and made us who we are today. And it's the experiences that you have, and you're stronger than you think, but thank God for the people that he put in our lives. And for whatever reason, I mean, it's just chilling to think if you had not gotten that phone call. That's just amazing to me. And just, there's a time for everything. You don't always understand why God puts people in your life at the precise moment, or the events or the activities or instances, right? And that just goes to show that was definitely a moment in time for you. And just thank God for that moment and that phone call that you got. Like they always say, saved by the bell, right? That's just chilling to me. So like you said, who knows who we can be a beacon for, or who we can be that phone call for at the precise moment in time. Maybe not that extreme, but maybe in a point in their life where they need some motivation, where they need some inspiration, where they need some light, and you can be a beacon. And you may not even realize the extent, even if it's just a glimmer, that you can be by making that phone call, just hearing your voice, just saying something positive, saying something uplifting, being cheerful, can make a difference. But giving a message to them right now during this time is definitely something to think about. And I'm certainly thinking about that, and thinking more about someone else, and not about you know, being negative, like, oh my God, who wants to hear this right now? You know, nobody's thinking about travel right now. People are broke. Why would they want to hear about making some money when they don't have money to even, you know what I mean? All these things you're telling yourself when you just need to take the action, take the activity, and see what people need and how you can be a solution, even for the $20 a month, to put them in position for improving their lives. So thank you so much for that, Ann.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You are welcome. Now craft your story. You're absolutely right. What you said, you know, you just never know how your story is going to impact somebody else. So that's powerful. That is powerful. Anybody else want to share? What did you get from this lesson? Are you ready to be authentic? Are you ready to create your story?
Well, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Miss Katrina. Girl, you got some stories.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, Miss Ann, honey, I don't know what God have in store, but honey, he put you in the right place at the right time. And I thank God for you. That really, really hit home for me. And it opened me up, honey. I about ready to cry over here. But girl, you know, it's a testimony, like you say. And I do have some stories to tell. And I'm ready to write my stories down and put the bullet points where the bullet points need to be, and empower somebody else that needs to hear the word. And I am so thankful for stepping in this business, and I'm so excited. And thank you, Miss Ann, honey. I'm giving you kudos today. You deserve kudos today, honey.
All right, girl, I can't wait. I can't wait. We all have at least 25 stories. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, I said you stepped out and showed out today. I'm telling you. But yeah, that was God stepping in at the right time for your mama to call you and, you know, and step in that you wouldn't do that. Now I have done, you know, had those thoughts as well, you know, wanted to give up, wanted to kill myself. But I know I had 3 girls that I had to raise by myself. But like I say, I got stories to tell too. So I give you kudos today, not Wednesday today. Thank you, Miss Ann.
Well, all right. Well, hopefully I'll get some kudos on Wednesday too. But I'll take them for today. Thank you. All right. Anybody else? And I know we got to go. We're over time. Did anybody else want to share? Anybody else? What did you get from today? Do you feel like you can be authentic? Do you feel like you have a story that maybe you could craft? Everybody has at least 20 stories. And so what you want to do is begin knowing those stories, that you almost know which story to tell at the appropriate time. And that's what this is about. You want to be able to relate, begin to read your audience so you know this, my story about this would really be most impactful for this particular audience. So anybody else want to share? All right, then, well, y'all, we're going to go ahead and end this call. I thank y'all for being a part of the call. Thank you so much for being a part of our lives. And thank you for everything and just being on this call today. And so if you want to listen to it again, I'm going to be saving it. And so I'm looking forward to your homework and what you're going to what the stories that you're going to create and how you're going to inspire. So here we go, y'all. Let's do it. And I'm going to be working on my stories as well. That's another thing. When you teach something, it makes you get better at learning it. So I want you to be able to not only attend these courses, but also eventually I want you to be able to teach this to your team. And because the more you teach it, the more you hear it, the better you'll get. And you'll notice that your stories will get better and you'll get better at it as well. And this is one of the reasons why I'm doing this as well, to begin to get better. And so we're all learning together. Y'all have a great day. God bless. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being a part of our team. And most importantly, thank you so much for being a part of our lives. Y'all have a good one. Craft your story. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much, Ann.
Thank you.
Did I get